Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if this is your first time here. Today's video is the Pussycat reading vlog. So Pussycat picked my TBR for the entire month of July, and I'm going to be filming when I start a book and when I end it, so that Pussycat and you guys get my thoughts the entire time. It's going to be really fun, and I'm really excited to do it. And yeah, that's this video. Okay, so it is the start of July, and I need to pick my first read of the month. And obviously, Pussycat picked my entire TBR. I just need to pick what one of these books I'm gonna read first. And I thought it'd be fun to make it a little wheel, and then I can spin it, and that will tell me what order to read these in. I will say 5 of these are for the Ali Scallywagathon. So if I land on one of those 5 books, I'm gonna have to skip it. And obviously, some of these are sequels. So if I get those, then I'll have to skip it. But hopefully, I just get like a regular standalone. Let's see what we get for our first book, shall we? It's spinning! That's a sequel. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. I can read this. I can read this. So this is gonna be my first book of Pussycat month. I don't even know what it's about. I'm not even gonna look. So I'm gonna start this on July 1st, and then I will check back in once I have finished it and given you my review. Okay, so I just finished the Grace Year a couple of hours ago. I took a couple of hours to like process the ending and like because I wasn't entirely sure if I knew what was happening. But let's start with the fact that I guessed that it was a contemporary and it's actually a dark dystopian book. I guess that Pussycat gave it a 3-star and Pussycat actually gave it a 5-star. I guess that I would give it a 3.5 and I am giving it a 4.25. And I'll go into why in a second. But let's start with the book, what the book is about. This book is about this town village where these girls, when they turn 16, they're sent into the woods to live for 12 to 13 months because they have magic and they have to go in the woods to dispel this magic so they can come home and not kill people with their magic. And when they're in these woods, people don't come back always the same way. Like, they come back with like one ear gone, or like their hair missing, or they come up acting differently. Sometimes they don't come back at all, and no one's allowed to speak about it. It's like forbidden to talk about the Grace Year. So we're following the main character who's about to go into the Grace Year, so we're gonna find out the truth, what happens, and stuff like that. And I thought it was really interesting. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but I have to give some spoilers to tell you my review. So spoilers, if you haven't read the book or you plan on reading it, don't listen anymore. But so we find out through the main character's journey that there was never ever magic. What the reasoning was is that they were drinking from a well that has algae, and the algae was essentially poisoning them and causing them to have like hallucinations and visions, and that's why they thought they had magic, because like they were literally pretty much drugged and high and poisoned for like 13 months. And a lot goes down in this book. Instead of chapters, it's broken down by seasons, but it was really long to get through each season. Like the first season, which was autumn, it was a 2-hour chapter, and that's about how long each of them was. So as someone who has to read something all the way through before I can stop reading for the day, I literally had to read those 200 chapters. So I had to do like a season each time I sat down to read, and I didn't really mind that so much. I thought it was a really interesting way, and probably the best way to break it down. The reason why I'm not giving this a 5-star, which is a shame, because for like the first, I don't know, 60%, I was loving it. I was gonna give it a 5 stars. Like, I was vibrating of excitement of how I was gonna give a 5-star book for my first book of July. And then I got to the ending, the last 50 pages, and I hated it. So I'm not giving it a 5-star because of the ending. The ending makes no sense in my opinion. The entire book is about this main character who doesn't want to conform to what the society believes she should be like, because women's not allowed to conjugate, women's not allowed to hum, women's not allowed to garden. Like, they're not allowed to really have much rights. They're just simply meant to like carry children, get married, and then if they don't get selected for marriage, like they have to go work the fields. Like, they have to have some kind of useful purpose in this county. and the main character is against that. Like, she's never believed in the magic. So following her point of view, we get to see her trying to figure out the truth because she knows there isn't magic ever. Like, there simply hasn't been. So she does work out what the truth is, and right before they go back, because there's a lot that's happening, I'm not going to give you all the details so that if you do read the book still, you can maybe enjoy it and have all those things revealed to you. When they do go back after the 13 months, I thought she was going to reveal the truth. And then I thought she was going to go, like, on a warpath and, like, beat some men up, burn some houses down. I thought she was going to get her revenge. I thought there was going to be rebellion. I thought the Grace Year was going to end and that they were going to be the last generation of it. And that's not what happens at all. Even though that's what it was hinted at happening, she essentially goes back and tells them a version of the truth, but she doesn't tell them of the algae poisonings. She essentially comes back pregnant, and they're like, well, you were gone for 13 months, so how were you pregnant? And she thought that she was going to get killed or banished for it, but instead, they assumed that it was her magic that got her pregnant, and they're like, oh my god, they're getting more powerful. We actually need the Grace Year even more now. So I thought that her reasoning, instead of saving the Grace Year, she made the Grace Year even more important somehow. And then when she has her baby, from my perception of this, she dies in childbirth, which is something that she point blank says throughout the book she does not want to happen. She says over and over again that she did not want to be one of the girls that just died in childbirth or got used for babies. She did not want that at all. So the fact that that was her ending pretty much, because you don't really know, it just says that she starts hallucinating and seeing her lover, who is not alive, and I assume that means she's dying in childbirth, or maybe she's about to. But she names her child Grace, which I think is crazy because of the fact that it's called the Grace Year and she went through a bunch of traumatizing stuff. And then she named her child after that traumatizing things. But the last thing that she says is, oh, my daughter's going to grow up and she's going to end the Grace Year. And I hated that because I thought she was going to be the one that ended it. And the fact that she didn't, and then she's going to put it on her child to solve 16 years from now. One, is a lot of pressure on a kid, and two, that means for like 16 more years kids have to suffer. And I read a lot of reviews that was comparing this to the Hunger Games, and me personally, I don't think it's like the Hunger Games, like, because spoilers for Sunrise and the Reaping, spoilers from the Hunger Games, Haymitch and Sunrise and the Reaping, he does try to rebel, but he fails, and he has to live with that regret, but he doesn't actually ever stop trying to rebel. Like, he's, you know, getting that framework, and then like 20 years later, Katniss comes and she successfully rebels. And I think the difference here is that that's a series, so we get to see every step of it along the way. Like, we got to see Haymitch start it, and then we slowly get to see Katniss finish it. This isn't a series, this is a standalone book, so the fact that you don't get to see her daughter grow up and like end the Grace Year, I'm really not happy with. This would have worked so much better as a duology, like where this book was from the mom, and then she dies in childbirth, and then the second book is her daughter grown up and her going through the Grace Year and her ending it somehow. I thought it would be way better as 2 books, at least. And I just feel like if you're gonna have us a feminine rage book, which is what this felt like to me, it felt like a feminine rage book about, you know, like these women, they didn't even have magic. It was just men wanting to control them and control what they were doing because they didn't want them to get too powerful or to think for themselves. When you have that kind of book and then you make me think that the character is going to rebel or like go against those beliefs, and then you still have her end up being married with a baby and then dead, I don't like that at all. It makes me really sad. I did in fact cry, and I was angry and confused at the ending. And this would have gotten a 5-star from me if she would have done more at the ending other than just have a baby. Like, when she went back, if she would have told them about the algae and she would have made a really big effort to rebel, I would have probably still given it 5 stars. But since she, like, just went back and had a baby, and that's it, that's how the book ends, I'm just disappointed. Maybe there'll be a second book at some point, but it's not listed as having a second book, so I'm really not sure. This has been out since 2019. But I would say, overall, I really enjoyed it. A very interesting concept. I read a book similar to this called Extasia by Claire Lagarde, which is where men also try to control the women, and they do in fact fight back. I gave that 5 stars. If this would have had that similar like line of fighting back for real, it would have gotten a 5-star from me. But a 4.25 is really not that bad, especially since I only thought I was going to give it a 3.5, so I did like it more than I thought. And I don't know, I would recommend, and the open ending didn't really bother me, it's just the ending overall. Like, the last 50 pages where it got me, and then I'm not too happy about it. I'm also confused by the ending still. I don't even know if she did die from childbirth, or is that just me interpreting it that way? Maybe she did survive. But if she did survive, then it makes me want a second book even more. You know what I mean? This is my thoughts for the Grace year, and I can't wait to move forward, because hopefully the other books that I read don't confuse me or make me so angry. But this is the thoughts for this one. Okay, everyone, it is July 3rd, and it is time to pick our second book of the month. As you know, Pussycat's picking my July TBR, so I put all the books into a wheel spin, and we're going to spin again for a second book and see what we get. Hopefully it's a book I can read. I can't read Circe because it's for the Scallywagathon video that I'm doing. Okay, hold on. We'll have to spin again. This is embarrassing. Let's see how many spins it takes today. That's a sequel. I can't read it. I can read this. I can. So I guess this is gonna be our second book of the month. And I'm gonna go start it right now, and I'll be back when I finish it. Hi everyone, it is July 4th, and I just finished the second book of the month, which was Under the Influence. It was really good. It was a really, really easy read. I'm giving it a 4 stars. Pretty much it's about this girl who's originally working in New York as an editor, but then she loses her job, and she's needing to get a job pretty quick because she doesn't want to rely on her family or her friends. And she sees this ad for this company that's called like Green or something like that. I don't know, Green Health. I can't even remember the name of the company because I couldn't care less. But it's like, if you're wanting to work for badass women, if you're wanting to make a difference, come here. And like, she gets hired very fast. It's not even like a proper interview. And she goes and works there. And the entire premise of the book is like her working there and about how her boss isn't actually a good person. Like, her boss acts like she's a girl's girl, acts like she's for the people. And in reality, she's like doing like plagiarism and like making really offensive comments and like stealing people's ideas. And the entire book is like under the influence, pretty much meaning like she wasn't being herself. She was under the influence of an idea that she thought of her job company. And this is her story of like getting that job and getting away from that job. And it was really good. Like, I'm giving it a 4-star because it was like, I don't know, it was a quick, easy read. I read it pretty fast, and not a literary masterpiece, but it was like, I don't want to say fun because it is like someone getting taken advantage, like in their workplace. But I would say like it was entertaining. Like, it kept you on the edge of seat because you like knew that it was gonna implode, but you wanted to see how it might implode, or like how long it took to implode. Like, I feel like when I went into the book, I knew something was gonna go down with this company, and it was interesting to like get the whole like timeline of it. And I don't know, I thought it was really good, and I really, really liked it. And yeah, that's my little. This is like really short compared to my Grace year. Like, I don't have much feedback for this book. Like, it was a good time, and it was really easy to read, and I'd recommend it if you're looking for a really fast, quick book to read. Like, I didn't do it in one sitting, but I did it like, I started yesterday and read it like most of it yesterday, and then I woke up today and just finished it. So like under 24 hours if you think about it. 337 pages. I would classify it as one of the quicker books that I've read. I don't know, if you're looking for like a bit of like workplace drama, or like someone trying to like make it through burnout and all that, I think it's a really interesting book, and not like I thought it was going to be at all, because I guessed that this was a contemporary, and it technically is. I also guessed that I was going to give it like a 3.5, I think, and I guessed that Pussycat gave it like a 3 as well. And Pussycat actually gave it a 4, and I'm giving it a 4. So I liked it more than I thought I was going to, and she liked it more than I thought she was going to. But when under the influence, I was thinking it was going to be like someone with an alcohol problem. Like, I thought it was going to be like a contemporary book about someone getting like sober, and it was not that at all. It was just about like a toxic workplace. So that was like the left field of it all, is that like I knew it was going to be a contemporary, but like I guess I didn't really understand what the under the influence meant until I read the book, and now it makes sense. It being called that makes a lot of sense. And I hope my camera is okay. it's in the middle of this video, but I finally got a new camera and I'm still learning it, but I'm really liking it compared to the one that I was using. And yeah. Okay, we're going to pick our next book. I know I just finished one, but we're going to go ahead and give this a spin so I know what my next one's going to be. Hopefully I don't get a book that's for Scallywagathon, and hopefully I don't get a book that's for the sequel to a Scallywagathon book. So let's see what we get. That's for Scallywagathon, so we're going to have to spin again. Fuck. That's a sequel, so maybe third time's a charm? Okay. I can read that. I don't want to read it. It's the one that I've been looking forward to the least, but I can in fact read it. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe I can just go ahead and get it out of the way. And then that way if I don't like it, I know that it's done and over and I can have like a better reading month ahead instead of saving it for last and then the end of my reading month be crap. So let's just go ahead and get it out of the way. So I'm going to be starting Bravey as maybe even tonight. I don't know. We'll see what happens and I will be back when I finish it. So that's it for now, friends. Okay, hi everyone. It is July 7th, and I just finished Bravey, which was the nonfiction that I got in my last wheel spin. I was trying to finish this yesterday, but I just ran out of time. I was doing some cleaning, I was doing some streaming, and I finally got to it. And I'm actually extremely surprised by how much I like this book. I'm not really much of a nonfiction reader just because I read so much of it in college that it really burnt me out on the genre. I have a degree in history, and so much of like being a history major was reading a bunch of nonfiction books all the time, weekly. So I got so burnt out that I stopped reading them, period. And this was really my first time diving into like a legit nonfiction since then. And I was very nervous. I actually thought it was a contemporary, I think. But like, I also kind of thought that it might have been a nonfiction because usually, like, if you have a person on cover that looks like a real person, typically it's like an autobiography or something of the sorts. And I said that I was gonna give it a 3-star, but now that I know for a fact it's a nonfiction, I'm not gonna be rating it because I don't like to rate nonfiction books that are like about people's lives. It feels weird to be like, oh, their life was a 5-star. Oh, their life was a 2-star. That feels really weird to me personally. So I'm not gonna give it a rating. I'm just gonna give you a review. I hope that's okay. I enjoyed this way more than I thought I was going to. This is a book following a professional runner, and I was like, oh my god, I don't even like running. I don't even like exercising. But I can see why Pizza Cat likes this book because Pizza Cat does like running. She does run. But I thought that was all it was gonna be about. It was like the running journey, but it actually was so much more than that. It talked about like mental illness. It talked about grief. It talked about body image. It talked about setting goals and achieving goals on like how being brave and how there's a bit of like sexism in the running industry and really made me emotional quite sometimes. Their mom, I was gonna say spoiler alert, but is there really a spoiler alert when it's someone's life? Their mom committed suicide when they were very young, and a lot of the book talks about how they wanted to not be like their mom because they were like, oh, I don't want to ever end up like being like them. They were so sad. And a lot of the book discusses like how she ended up wanting to be like her mom because she realized how brave and strong and a great person that her mom was. And she talks a lot about like what it was like growing up being a child being raised by a single dad and how that affected their life, and those bits really got to me. Like emotionally speaking, those bits like made me like very like sad. Um because I obviously have mental illness. Obviously, like you can see it on me, but I don't know why I said that, but I do have mental illness. And it's something that I really struggle with. And seeing that aspect in a book, I was like, wow, okay, I'm seeing things in a light that I've never seen them before. And I like really resonated with the fact that she was like, hold on. I think I highlighted it. Okay. So this is a trigger warning for like mental illness. I did highlight this because it like made me want to sob. But I also think it's like a really powerful quote. So I'm gonna say trigger warning for mental illness, trigger warning for suicide. But the quote is, my mom felt ashamed of her struggles and tried to keep everything hidden. She didn't want people to know how she felt, but now everyone's going to know. I'm going to tell them because everyone can learn from this. It's too big for me to hold all alone. Death is private, but suicide belongs to everyone. That really fucking got me. And the way that I interpret that is that, like, her mom thought that, like, she was so alone, and that since she was so alone, that no one would care if she died. So then she did die. But the truth of it was that when she did die, it made everyone around her sad because she had so many more people than she realized. And like suicide belongs to everyone just means like someone's impact of that happening. It like is like a ripple effect on everyone that's in their life. It impacts them. That was one quote that really got me. And then another quote that really got me was, rules that don't feel right probably are not right. My mom must have had a rule that she couldn't be perfect. She would rather be nothing at all. I wish she could have known that we are the ones in control of our own rules. We have to know that we are the ones making choices, that we are making the rules. Like, I'm getting emotional reading these quotes to you guys. It just really, like, puts a spin on mental illness in a way that I've never thought about it, because I feel like so many times we're so in our heads being like, oh my god, we're not perfect, we don't matter. And I feel like this book is saying that we can just stop that narrative. We can, if something doesn't feel right, we can change it. Like, if the rule is you have to be quiet, you don't have to be quiet. You can break that chain of rules and make your own rules or change the rules. Even if the rules felt right for 15 years and one day you wake up and the rule no longer felt right, you can change the rule. Like, the mental illness on this book, like, really impacted me and really left a mark on me. And I also really thought it was interesting how they talked about like health and being fit. Like, they made the point of being like, oh, being healthy is not the same thing as being fit. Being healthy is taking care of your body, and being fit is more like having muscles, exercising. But being healthy can mean a different things. Being healthy can be like taking care of your mental health. It can be making sure you get enough sleep. They were saying it's more important to be healthy than it is to be fit. If you sleep 8 hours, you eat what you need to eat, you go to therapy, or you practice some kind of mental health regimen, but you don't exercise, that's way more important than exercising but not sleeping, not taking care of your mental health, not eating right. Like, being fit is not what's important. Being healthy and feeling good in your own body is what's important. And they even called it like a car engine. Like, an engine's only gonna run if we put gas in it. So we have to feed ourselves, we have to nurture ourselves, we have to take care of ourselves if we want our body to perform in the way that we need them to. And that was so impactful. Like, being a runner was only like maybe 40% of what this book was about. The other 60% was such impactful meanings of like life and taking care of yourselves and knowing when not to give up. She was really big on not giving up, but when to pivot, when to change the path that you're on, to maybe take a path that will be different for you. Because even if you have a dream, there's not going to be like a straight path all the way there. You might have to like take a left instead of a right. You might have to go up a mountain instead of through the woods. But you're still on track for that dream as long as you are telling yourself, hey, I'm going after this dream. I'm going to keep trying. Even when you hit a barrier, even when you hit like an issue of some sort, if you have to go around the issue, you're still on track for your dream. You have to just pivot a little bit. I'm calling her Alexi Pappas. I don't even know if that's right. They're Greek, so I'm probably butchering their names, but it's a book by Alexi Pappas, and it's called Bravey, and it's probably one of the better nonfictions that I've read, and I'm not going to rate it. I'm just going to say that I did enjoy it, and it did have an emotional impact on me, and I'm not mad that Pussycat gave it to me. I actually was a little worried that I wouldn't like this, but I enjoyed it way more than I thought it was. I'm also going to see what Pussycat ended up giving this, because I haven't even checked. Did Pussycat not read this? Oh, she also didn't rate it. I wonder if we have the same thing where we don't rate books. Also, why did my lighting go weird? Sorry. I wonder if we have the same thing where we don't rate books that we read that are nonfiction, because she also didn't review it. which I'm not going to either, because I just feel like, I even feel like being like, oh, I really enjoyed this feels weird to say, because like it's a book about someone going through grief and like injuries and everything like that, and that feels weird to be like, oh yeah, your problems were entertaining. I don't like that at all. So I'm gonna say the message was impactful and the message resonated with me, and I think the purpose of the book was done very well, and I would recommend to anyone that's wanting like a self-help autobiography kind of vibe. But if you never read it, that's okay too. It's not meant for everyone, and it's good. Also, this person was also a filmmaker, and I was not expecting that, because I thought it was just going to be about an Olympian runner. She also made films, which I thought was like so badass of them. I was like, oh my god, like they are saying left and right, and it was just going to show that even if you are an athlete, you can also have another passion. You can have multiple passions that exist in one. But overall, really, really got to me. But since I only got to 40 pages, I actually need to pick a book to read now. Like, I need to read, I do 100 pages a day, and I unfortunately didn't hit that. I'm going to go to the book wheel, and we're going to pick a book that I'm going to start right now. I'll come back when I finish it. Okay, so I changed the wheel because I got tired of being like, oh, that's Scallywagathon. Oh, that's a sequel. I removed all of those books for now, just so I can see the ones I have to read before Scallywagathon, and then once I start Scallywagathon, I'll add all the other books back in. So we only have 3 books that we can read outside of Scallywagathon. And I'm personally hoping to read Truly Devious, because Yellowface, I'm really not prepared to read, but obviously whatever the whale tells me to do, I'm gonna have to do. So let's just go ahead and spin it and see if the gods are in my favor. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. It's not what I wanted to read, but I want to put Yellowface off as much as I possibly can. We're gonna be reading Congo, and I think this is a thriller. I think I guessed that it was a thriller. And I'm really excited. I'm gonna go read about 60 pages of this today, and then I'll probably end up finishing it tomorrow. And then this weekend, which is the 11th, 12th, on the 12th, my friend Allie is doing a Scallywagathon 24-hour reading sprints. And I was trying to decide what I wanted to read, because I am streaming for 6 hours of it, but then I'll be going into Allie's stream to read. And I think what I'm gonna do is the pirate series that Pizza Cut gave me. I only included the first one in Scallywagathon, like for Scallywagathon prompt, but I think I'm just gonna read all 3 of them. Like, I think I'm gonna just, because they're all under 300 pages, so that'd be like 900 pages. I think last time I read 1,000 pages in a 24-hour reading time, but I did go to sleep for some of that, so roughly I'd have maybe 16 hours of reading, and I think I could do it. If I read straight and I don't take many breaks, I think I could read at least the first 2. And then I would only have the 4 other Scallywagathon prompts, which I'll be starting next week on the 14th or whatever it is. The 15th. On the 15th, I'm actually starting my Scallywagathon reading, like, officially, so that I'll only have to read 4 of those books, and then it will just be reading the sequels at that point, like whatever sequels I have left. Or like, I know Truly Devious is a trilogy, so I might have to read the 3rd book of that. But yeah, I'm gonna go read Congo, and I will see you guys when I finish it. Bye for now. Okay, hi. I just finished Congo, and can I say that is the weirdest thriller book I have ever read in my life. It is definitely more sci-fi than thriller, and I wanted to DNF it, but I also wanted to give it a fair shot, because PC Cat's never actually read this, according to Storygraph. It's like on their want to read, so I wanted to be able to give it a good review so that PC Cat would know if she wanted to read it, or if I could maybe save her the time, or maybe she'd want to read it even if I don't like it. I'm giving this 3 stars. I have a couple things. This is mostly computer jargon that is like really outdated by like 30-40 years. When this book probably came out, which was in 1980s, I think it probably was still very relevant to what computers were like, but now that we're like in 2025, computers have changed so much, and I literally could not care about the jargon, and it was a lot of jargon. Like, it'd give you acronyms and then explain the acronyms, and it was explaining how the technology was doing what, and how it was 30 years before this, and it was just a lot, and I didn't like those parts. I'm only giving this 3 stars for Amy the Ape. I loved Amy the Ape. The ape stuff was the best parts of this book. All I'm gonna say, it is pretty much about these people that want to go to Congo for different reasons. So one of the POVs is of a geologist who wants to find diamonds, and apparently in Congo there is a volcano, and in that volcano there's also these like brownish bluish diamonds that aren't actually worth that much, but they apparently have like magnetic stuff to them, so that they can, like, I don't know, be used in warfare or something like that. I don't really understand that part of the story because I just am not into that. And then there is a scientist who takes care of apes, and he has taught his ape sign language. She knows like over 600 words in ASL, and she starts having nightmares of Congo, which is where they think she's from. So he wants to go to figure out what these nightmares are about. And the reason why they all end up going is because the people that were there for the diamonds, they got mysteriously slaughtered, and no one knows how. Their head was just crushed in, and they don't know why and how. So they decided to do another mission for some odd reason to go back. And the whole book is about them trying to beat other countries to get to these diamonds, and I could literally give 2 shits about that part of the book. I only cared about the Amy the Ape interactions. She was so sweet. She'd be like, tell me I'm a good ape. Give me tickles. I adored her. If the whole book was about Amy the Ape, it probably would have been 5 stars for me. But it's not. It's a lot of, like, tech jargon. And if you don't like tech, you know who I do think could like this? Pussycat's husband. I'm not friends with him on Storygraph, but I wonder if he's read this, because he's a very, like, IT, very smart person. And I feel like he might enjoy this more than me, someone who doesn't give shits about technology in any kind of way. I only like what I need to know to get by is what I know. And it was a lot of like RDMs, S's, and telling you what that meant, and it was too much. I found myself skipping through those parts. Like, I'm not even joking. I would just skip through those parts when they got brought up, or I'd read them like really fast and like read like every couple of lines just so I knew what was happening. And I'm giving it 3 stars for Amy the Ape. And there's a bunch of like other ape moments that are in the book that I really, really enjoyed. I don't know if I would recommend this or not. I also don't remember what I put in my YouTube video, but let me go check and I will come back for that. Okay, I just went back and saw what I said about this book. I guessed that it was a mystery, and it's not really. It's a sci-fi thriller. I guessed that I was going to give it a 4.25, and I guessed that Pussycat gave it a 5, which is just wrong because Pussycat hasn't even read the book. And I'm giving it a 3. I actually would give it lower if Amy the Ape wasn't in there. If Amy the Ape wasn't in there, this would have been like a DNF, like maybe 40 pages in. And it's not, like I said, I was wrong. I was wrong across the board. Didn't get the genre right, didn't get my review right, didn't get Pussycat's review right because she hasn't even reviewed it. And I don't know. It's an interesting book, and I think that it has an audience, and I think there's people out there that could really enjoy it, but I don't think the audience is me. And I don't even know if it might be Pussycat. Pussycat's husband, I could see getting into this if he hasn't already read it. And I could see Pussycat reading it for her husband as well. But I don't know if like Pussycat on her own would like necessarily enjoy all of the jargon that's used. It's a lot. I can't even stress how much it is. I feel like it was a 340-page book, and I feel like I was skipping like maybe every 10 pages because I was like, okay, whatever, give me back the apes. So that's a little disappointing, but you know, we only have 2 books left that I can read before getting into Scallywagathon. It's Yellowface or Truly Devious, and we're gonna go ahead and go to that screen to see which one I'm gonna get today. Not much of a mystery here. Let's see which one wins it out. Ooh. I thought it was gonna go to Yellowface, I won't lie. I'm excited. This is a trilogy, and I think I'm just gonna read all 3 books to just go like in a row. This is the plan for this, okay? I'm gonna start Truly Devious tomorrow, which is Wednesday. I'm gonna probably finish it on Friday. On Saturday, I am reading that pirate series that Pussycat gave me in one day if I can. And then I will resume the second and third book of Truly Devious series after that. So I probably won't do a wheel spin until like maybe maybe a week from now, actually. It might be 7-8 days before I need a wheel spin, because if I do this book and then I go into those 3 books and then I go back to the second and third book of this series, I might not need a wheel spin anytime soon. And I also won't have very many books left. I think I'll only have Yellowface, and then I'll have 4 books left with Skywalker. So I think I'll have like 5 books when I come back for a wheel spin. But hopefully I like Truly Devious. I'm actually annotating it, so I'm going to be doing an annotating vlog of it that will go up eventually on here as well. And I'm doing a buddy read with it with Piece of Cat and some other people, and I'm going to be my detective magnifying glass, and we're going to go at it. We're going to see if we can solve the mystery. But that's it. I'm going to start this tomorrow, and yeah. Okay, it is July 11th, and I just finished Truly Devious. I just did a whole, like, 10-minute rant and, like, the actual vlog for this, so I'll keep my thoughts. And this video is short and sweet and to the point. I'm giving this a 4-star because I really like the plot and, like, what the mystery is. But I don't like the characters. I think they're all really annoying and stupid, and I think they can be doing better jobs as people that are, like, into crime and detectiveness. Like, they're doing a bad job. Like, I'm doing a better job at being a detective than what they are. And they are, like, little kids, like high schoolers, but still, like, if you're gonna make a whole character premises be that they're into crime and then they're not picking up on anything, they're being oblivious, I'm gonna be mad about it because it's stupid. You're not taking the full advantage of your character as you could be. It ends on a cliffhanger, and I kind of assumed we wouldn't learn what happened because there's 2 other books and this main part, but I just was like, I feel like what the ended on came out of nowhere, and like there was clues leading up to one thing, and then in like the last 30 to 40 pages it changes everything, and I just didn't like that. I like when thriller and I like when thriller and mystery books have a little bit of crumbs of information so you can figure it out with the character. And I don't mind when there's reveals or like plot twists and stuff like that. But this came out like super left field. Like makes no sense at all, kind of left field. And it kind of ruined my enjoyment of the book. So I'm not going to give it 5 stars, but not a bad book. And this isn't even for Piece of Cat necessarily. We're just doing a buddy read of it together because Piece of Cat read the series and said that the ending made no sense to her. And she wasn't buying it. And I pretty much feel that already. In book 1, I'm already like not buying it. So I'm a little worried that I might be keeping that throughout the rest of the series. So we'll have to see. So I know this is a really short little review of this book, but I can't say too much without spoilers, and I'm giving spoilers in the other vlog that I'm doing. So if you're into spoilers of what I'm talking about, you can go watch that vlog instead. But yeah, not bad. Could be better. It's not the best thriller mystery that I've read, but like has potential. And I don't understand why this needs to be like 8 books. Like there's 8, I think there's like 8 books in total. And obviously they pick up different plot lines and stuff, but still I don't understand why they would need that many books in any series like this at all. But that's my overall thoughts. And I already know what I'm starting next. This is Friday, and tomorrow I'm going to be doing a 24-hour readathon where I tried to read all 3 books in the pirate series that I cannot remember what it's called. I know one of them's called like Daughter of a Pirate King, I think, or Daughter of a Pirate Queen. So I'll be starting that. I'm going to try to read all 3. And then I'll be reading books 2 and 3 of this series. So I will report back after I read. I'll report back after the readathon. Let's do that. After the readathon, I'll come back and give you my update on if I was able to read all 3 books or not. So this is it for me now. Hi, it is July 15th. This is not the update that I thought I would be giving you. I was not able to read all 3 of those books during the readathon. I have very valid reasons for it, but it'd make the clip very long to go over everything. I just simply didn't reach the goal. I did really well with the first 2. Like, I had a plan of like when I would start and finish each book because they were supposed to be less than 300 pages. So I read about 100 pages an hour. So I was banking like 3 hours for each book. And I even gave like 3.5 hours just in case I got a little busy or I started to read a little slower. And I was giving myself that like extra wiggle room. And I did so good about the first one and the second book. Like I finished the first one in under 3 hours, finished the second one in under 3 hours, and then by the time I finished both of those books, it was 2 a.m. I had to start the readathon late because I was streaming, and then I joined the readathon, and then took a little break to play games, but that's besides the point. When I finished the second book, it was 2 a.m., and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed, and just for a few hours, and then I'm gonna wake up, and as long as I wake up before 7 a.m., the readathon ends at 10. If I wake up before 7 a.m., I can read the book and I'll be finished. That is not how it went. I did wake up before 7 a.m. I did, in fact, do that. But the third book was actually not the same length that I thought it was. I was going off of Storygraph, and my book was actually longer than what Storygraph was saying, so I was wrong. I immediately was not going to be hitting that goal because of that, because it ended up being like 100 pages longer than I thought it was, and that means I would have had to have counted for an extra hour, so I should have woken up at 6 instead of 7, but I didn't. You can't go back in time. And the third book sucked. So I lost all momentum, and I'm about to go into like what I'm reading the books and all of that in a second. But the third book compared to the first two, I did not have the same enjoyment. I didn't have the same momentum, and I was dragging through it, and I was not able to complete it. But I did get through 60% of the third book, which I'm still counting as a win, because you're about to find out how much I didn't like it in a second. But yeah, so my goal was to read all 3 of the pirate books, Daughter of the Pirate King, those books, and I guessed that I was going to give them 5 stars, or at least a 4.75, and I think I guessed that Pizza Cat gave them a 4. And I already knew the genre, they were fantasy, but I did not know that they were YA fantasy. I was guessing that they were adult fantasy because off the cover, she didn't look like she was 17. That was a bit of a surprise to me that she was 17. I was not aware that it was a YA book until my friend Allie told me. So, because it's not really mentioned. It just says that she's a few years younger than 20, so my brain just went 18, but technically a few could have been 2 to 3, which could mean that she would have been 17. Because I didn't go on Storygraph to check. Like, it is a YA. Like, when you go to Storygraph, you can confirm that it's a YA book. I was not aware of that. So I was expecting there to be a lot of romance, but I don't know why I was expecting that, because Pizza Cat hates that in books. But I was like, maybe she gave you something to enjoy, because even though she doesn't enjoy romance, I do. So it's like, maybe she gave me some crumbs of something that she know that I would really, really like. There's not really much romance, especially because it's a YA book, but it's essentially, well, I thought it was a trilogy. I'll get into that in a second, but it's about this pirate who has a secret about her identity, and she is the daughter of the pirate queen. She's the daughter of the pirate king, and she is his most trusted person in his life. So he trusts her with everything, but we also learn that he does not take very good care of her. He's not a great dad. But essentially, there is a map to this treasure island, let's call it, and it's supposed to have sirens, it's supposed to have gold, it's supposed to be like amazing, but this map was divided up. And it went to 3 different people, like 3 different heads of family, pirate families. And her dad tasked her with finding the other 2 parts of the map. Because he got one, because he's one of the big pirate people. And she needs to go get it from the other 2 pirate families. So what she does is she plans to get kidnapped by the other pirate family. The other pirate family that she gets kidnapped by, they don't realize that she planned to get kidnapped. They think that they genuinely kidnapped her and they're going to use her for ransom to get money from the king, but she is it was all planned out. Like, she was like going easy on them, wasn't even fighting. Like, she planned getting kidnapped. And I was so into that. It truly felt like a good pirate book. And then like, it has a lot of plot twists and reveals and all that. And it was such an easy read. I mean, I was cranking it out. I was enjoying it. The only reason this is not getting a 5-star for me is the timekeeping. The timekeeping was insane. So you know how in most books, when you're jumping time, when you start the chapter, it'll be like 6 months later, 6 days later, 1 year later. It'll give you like the jumping of the time in the start of the chapter. That did not happen in this book. You would be in the middle of a chapter and you would read something and be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I have an example of this. For example, someone got like really injured, like almost died. And like previous chapter, they were like almost dead. You start the next chapter, and halfway through this chapter, they're saved. And you're like, wait a second. Like, they're fully healed walking around. And I was like, wait a second. Yes, yesterday, like, previous chapter, which I would have assumed was yesterday, they were on their deathbed, couldn't even walk, couldn't even get up, couldn't even stay awake. And now I'm reading this chapter where, like, 2 pages in, they're fully healed, walking around, being back to being a pirate. And what it was is the author was time jumping without really making it very clear. You're supposed to just assume and stick along, and like you're supposed to just guess that when someone was magically healed, that you were like, oh, okay, time jumped. I don't really like that, because I don't want to say that I read and miss things, but I just feel like that gets really confusing because, and it wasn't just one time, it was all the time. Like, in all 3 books, time would just pass, nothing like major, like not a year or anything like that, but like a week and a half, 3 months, like that kind of stuff, and you wouldn't really be told until you were already in the middle of a chapter, and you'd be like, wait a second, this isn't adding up, and then you would flip a couple more pages, and it'd be like, oh, by the way, it's been 3 months. And it's like, that's information that should go in the very beginning of a chapter, not midway or the end of the chapter when you're already freaking confused what's happening. And that's why it's not getting 5 stars. The first book is getting a 4.5. I really enjoyed it, but the fact that the time jumping happened so much and not wrote very well was a really big disappointment for me, and it made it really hard to stay locked in. Because when you're reading and everything's going at like a normal speed and you're like going day to day or every couple of days, you're really locked into the events. When they're time jumping, you're missing all that information, so that like, oh my god, now I gotta think about the fact that it's 3 months later and I'm gonna have to fill in those blanks that my mind has because the author's not gonna give me that information. And I had to keep doing that over and over and over again. So yeah, it was, the plot, great. The characters, I love them. I did not enjoy the time jumping with very information about the time jumping. In the second book, it follows the same set of characters, and they have a whole new adventure getting, I can't give you spoilers, obviously, because I do recommend the series, and I'm sure someone will watch this and maybe want to read it. But the third book is not actually the third book in the series. It's actually a start of its own adventure, and it sucked. Simply put, it sucked. When I got to the 60% after the readathon, I was debating just DNFing. I was like, I know I already put this much work in, but what if I just didn't read anymore? And what I ended up doing was, I just skipped to the end. I just read really skimmed really, really fast and was getting the information, because I only had about 100 pages. So I was literally just reading a couple of sentences from each page, because I was I could literally not care less. And the worst part is, the third book does not feel like a pirate adventure at all. It does not feel like a pirate adventure at all, and I have to give side spoilers. The third book deals with a bunch of, ice people, and a man being in ice that gets woken up, who apparently is, can control the undead and heal people, and he wants to make the main character his beloved. That gives no pirate vibes whatsoever. When I read a pirate book, I want to be reading about them on the seas. I want people getting, them being thieves. I want them to be in bad storms. I want there to be, even there being mystical animals. That fits with a pirate theme. Sirens, that fits in the idea of a pirate. You're telling me that in a pirate book, you gave me a man in ice. And it wasn't the same set of characters. It was a minor character in the first 2 that got its own story, and it's wrote 6-7 years after the first 2 books. And I don't know how to say this in the nicest way possible. I simply need authors to stop fucking writing. And I mean this in the sense of, if you write a duology and it's been I don't know, max 4 years in my head. If it's been max 4 years and you haven't wrote anything, don't write anything again in this series. Start a new series. It's a personal pet peeve of mine, and I'm seeing it done so much lately. Shatter Me. I love Shatter Me. You guys know that I love Shatter Me. But why are we getting new books still? Why? I'm gonna be in my grave reading those books. I just feel like authors should write. Don't get me wrong. If inspiration is getting you, you get it. But I do feel like there's a couple of things that I want to note about doing that. I feel like when you write if you write a book that takes you a really long time, and you're writing it 6-7 years after the original story, you are probably going to lose most of your main base of fans for your books. Allie, my friend Allie, never even read the third book because didn't even realize there was a third book, because it came out so much later. Because you have to think about that. People that are readers, they're reading books pretty much in one go. So if it's an incomplete series and you don't release it in like a timely manner, they're probably gonna forget that that series exists because they've already moved through so many books. Or they're gonna like be like, well, what's the point? Like, I've already gone 7 years without it. Why would I want to jump back into that? Like, they lose steam. Like, people lose motivation to continue a series when you've gone so long without it. Two, it seems like a money grab, to be honest. It seems like a money grab that, like, you're putting out a book so much later than the original books. It seems like you just wanted money. Like, you wanted to keep hitting that same stone to see what you can maybe get out of it. And I'm like, get a new stone, please. I'm begging you. And I don't mind novellas or short stories, but in this particular case, it wasn't even the original characters or the original storyline. It was a whole new storyline with a minor character that was brought over and gave her own story. I think that was not needed at all. And not for a book that, okay, this is my biggest pet peeve. The book was longer than the first two books. The first two books were 250 pages, like roughly a piece. This book was 350 pages. So you're telling me the third book, who wasn't even the main characters or even the main storyline, was longer than the actual two books that were the main storyline. I don't like that at all. And I don't want to be, giving hate to this particular author. This is a pet peeve overall with this is being done. I don't like it by any author. I can't, like I said, inspiration strikes. I love that authors write just in general, like whatever you gotta write, I gotta write. But at least make it in the same world, and at least make it have purpose. If you're just writing another book to get money from it, or another book to just say that you have another book, I don't like that, because it's not gonna match up. Like, this third book had none of the same feelings of the first two. None at all. It didn't seem like a pirate book. It didn't have the humor and like the piratey feel of the main characters at all. It didn't really have much of it didn't have romance, but the first two book had a little bit of a slow burn. That wasn't really that much of it in here. And like, there was none of that like feisty female main character vibes. Actually, the female main character of the third book is supposed to be Assassin, and I think she's a fucking loser. I do. She actually spends most of the third book whining and complaining about her life. Like, she has the worst life ever. And there are bad things that have happened to her. Don't get me wrong. But I simply just, if you're supposed to be this strong, great person, and then, like, you spend most of the book whining, being like, I can't lead. I can't do this. I suck. I'm like, get a fucking grip. You're supposed to be the main character of this book, and you're only getting one book to shine. I'm like, what? It's been 14 minutes. I really seem like I'm hating on the author, and I'm not. I have no problem with the author. They're not bad, and to my awareness, they're not a bad person. I just hate that this fell victim to this narrative of writing a book so much later after the original series. It bugs me. It really, really bugs me. And if I would have known this going in, I wouldn't have even read it. But I didn't realize until I started it, and I was a couple chapters in, and the main characters from the first two books were just not there as a POV, and I was like, wait a second. And obviously I wasn't checking Storygraph, so I wasn't prepared. But I'm telling you what, if I would have known in advance that this was not an actual third book in the series, I simply would have just not read it. Sorry, piece of cat. I would have just DNF'd it from the get-go. I would have been like, I'm not doing that. So I can't really classify as a DNF because I did read the ending. So like, can I maybe call it like a half DNF, half reading? Because I did technically skim through the rest of it, and I do know how it ends. But I didn't read it like normal. I didn't read it like a normal person would, where I was like reading every line and really taking it in. I simply was just like, go fuck yourself. Who cares about eyes? Just, okay, where are they? That's pretty much how it went. So I don't know if that really counts as a DNF. And rating-wise, what if I said that I'm going to give this a 2-star? What if I said that? What if I said that? For all the reasons that I just said. I am just... The second book, I didn't even tell you my rating. The second book's gonna get 4 stars. It had a lot more time jumping and a lot more time jumping happening for longer periods of times. So it disappointed me a little bit. This third book was not needed. Simply could not just exist. Could have just not existed at all in any capacity. Did anyone even ask for this story? Or did the author just write it up to write it up? Because I can understand if the fans are asking for it. Like, hey, we really want a book for this character. But I am a little bit of a hypocrite because Suzanne Collins does this. But I would beg the argument that Suzanne Collins doing this makes sense. because Suzanne Collins always connects the books in a way that you kind of continue the story. Like, even if you're going in the past, like you're going to a prequel, and you're still getting enough of the information from the first actual trilogy that it makes sense for the books to be there. This book did not need to exist at all. I mean, it's a whole new storyline. That's maybe that's a way that I should say it. I don't mind when authors write books later on if it still connects to the original storyline. But if they're gonna make the third book, fourth book, fifth book be whatever, a whole new storyline, I'm just like, make it its own book then. Why are you putting it in a series? Why can't you just put it as its own book and be like set in the same world of blah 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 blah? Like, why does it have to go with the original series? Because then people will have the expectations of like, oh, this doesn't feel like the rest of the books in this series. I'm not really enjoying this as much as the first two. But if you had it as its own book, they could go into that like, oh, this is going to be in the same world, but it's a different story, different characters, and they can have that mindset. I don't know. You can call me a hypocrite. You can call me a hater. You can call me whatever you want. But at the end of the day, this is my reading life. And this is my vlog. So I can say whatever I want. And this is nothing against Piece of Cat. There's nothing like honestly, Piece of Cat didn't like it either, to the point where she didn't even rate it on Storygraph. Piece of Cat. So I'm checking the Piece of Cat gave the first one a 4-star. And she gave the second one a 4-star. So I did guess correctly with what Piece of Cat was going to rate them. I just really had myself wrong. I'm not doing great in this challenge with myself. But yeah. So I read those for the readathon, and I finished the third book yesterday. And I'm now reading the second book of the Truly Devious series, and I will come back to talk to you guys after I finish. Probably, I'll come back for the second one and give you my thoughts of the second one before I go to the third one. But yeah, this is it. I'm sorry this is so long. I just apparently have lots of feelings about this pirate series. It's really good. Like, it's really, really good, but I might recommend that you only read the first 2 books. Like, I might just say read the first 2 books and stop there. Because it's really fun. It's really easy to read. It has, like, good humor. It has all the things that a pirate does with, like, treasure and thieving and dancing and hollering and, like, it's so good. Just the last book just needs to not exist anymore. In my head, it's not going to exist. But yeah, I'm going to shut up because it's been 20 minutes of this clip. It is July 18th, and I just finished The Vanishing Stair. Since this is the video for my monthly wrap-up, I'm not going to give any spoilers. I'm just going to give you my rating and review for the last one as well. I'm going to give this a 4.5. I really enjoyed this one a lot better than the first one. The characters were characting. The characters were actually being detectives. They weren't being stupid. They weren't being dumb. They weren't being immature. Like, they were actually, like, on things this time. And the clues were there, and I felt like you could pick up on them right alongside with the main character. And the things that got revealed, they were not too much of a surprise because you could pick up on them on your own, but nothing was, like, too out of left field in this one. And I think this one was much, much more enjoyable, and it makes me excited but also nervous for the next book. And hopefully the next book doesn't disappoint me too much, because I have heard that if the third one is a little bit unrealistic and people don't understand how it all adds up, and hopefully I disagree, because I have been doing the detective work. I've been putting the work in. I have been annotating all the thoughts, all the clues. I have my buddy read going where I'm putting all my feelings in. Like, I have been putting in the work. Like, this has been my 9 to 5. Like, I ain't just been reading for enjoyment. I have been reading to figure it out alongside them. So hopefully the third one, which I'm starting immediately after I finish this video, is just as good. I'm giving it a 4.5 because I just feel like the first one, I wanted to shake all the characters. With this one, I got more attached to the characters, and I started to feel more, like, enjoyment of them, and I also felt a little bit protective of them because things are thinging. People are dying. And I don't know, I'm invested, and I know that there is like 5 more books after this, but I'm not reading them as I've said a few times. So the third one will be my last one. So it's time to go wrap this all up. And I already have the third book right beside me. We are starting this. I'm going to be reading 80 pages of it to get to my 100 pages a day goal, and then I will be back when I'm done. Okay, hi everyone. It is July 20th, and I just finished the last book that I'm reading in the Truly Devious series, which is called The Hand on the Wall. I'm giving this a 4.25. I just want a 20-minute rant in the Truly Devious vlog. So if you're interested to see how I truly feel about the ending, you can go listen there. But I want this to be spoilers free, so I'll just say that I don't think it makes sense. It doesn't add up to me. I'm not catching all the things that they were trying to put down. And I'm a little disappointed, and I don't think I'll be reading this author ever again. And I'm giving it 4.25 because of the past stuff that I really liked, but the present day stuff, I'm just like, what the hell are you even talking about? Like, I am just simply confused, and I need to talk with Pussycat, like, immediately. Because Pussycat was like, I need to do a reread so that I can see if I'm just missing things. And I'm letting you know, Pussycat, you didn't miss anything. It doesn't make any sense. I took notes. Like, I annotated. I put things in the buddy read. I was, like, being my own very detective. And at no point did I think to myself, this makes perfect sense. It doesn't. It comes out of left field. The ending literally could have just been something different. It should have been something different. And I have lots of feelings about it. And I simply just think that I'm not going to read this author again because I don't think their writing is for me. I don't think that their endings are for me. And I think that they do a better job talking about things that happened 100 years ago than, like, current stuff. So maybe if they ever read a book that's always, like, the entire things in the past, maybe I'll give it a try. But this is like when it's like when you substitute something, like when you're making cake and you don't have eggs, so you substitute applesauce, but then the cake doesn't turn out right, and you're like, why didn't it turn out right? And you're like, oh wait, I probably should have used those eggs because applesauce doesn't always work. And then that's exactly how I feel about this book. Like, they pretty much had something going for like the first 2.5 books, made you very suspicious of someone, and then they substituted applesauce in, and then the fucking story fell apart. And then they're like, why did the story go wrong? And it's like, well, that's the freaking applesauce you put in the last 25% of the book. You ruined it. You had a good cake going, and you ruined it. You ruined it. Maureen, what's your name? Maureen Johnson, you ruined it. And I have beef with you now. But it's getting a 4.25 because I really like the past stuff. Like the 1936 stuff, that all made perfect sense to me. It all connected in a good way. It all evoked lots of feelings. It was a very good 1936 timed mystery. That's all I can say. Or I'll keep ranting and raging. I did already start the next book that I'm reading, but I started it on a stream. So I'll enter that clip of me spinning the wheel to get that book, and then I'll enter my feelings about the book so far, and then I'll come back when I finish it. Wait, so I already started the next book that I'm reading. I started it on a stream, but I did spin the wheel, so I'll just enter that clip of me spinning the wheel on stream. That way we keep this whole process going, and then I'll check in when I finish it. I think I'm about 30% in, so then that will be my final book for this section of the video this week. It is Sunday, and I'm going to be starting more of it today, and I might be able to finish it. If not, I'll finish it tomorrow on Monday, and then we'll come back and we'll do a wheel spin, and it should be primarily just Scallyback-thon books at this point, and I could go on. And if you want to see me go on, go watch the Really Devious vlog, which is out already. I will come back after I finish that next book that you'll see when you watch the wheel clip. Anyways, let's spin the wheel before I get back over to chat. What's it gonna be? Yay! Not rigged. Not rigged, I promise. That was legit. That was my first spin, I promise. So I'm gonna be starting the Mary Shelley Club. Hello, it is July 22nd, and I just finished the Mary Shelley Club. And can I just say, we finally got our first 5-star of this video. I was expecting to get way more. I was like thinking that I was gonna get like 3 5-stars, and I was losing hope. I was like, oh my god, I've read so many books and I haven't gotten a 5-star out of any of these. And I'm like, I'm almost done. I only have 4 books left. Like, if I'm gonna get 3 5-stars, I'm running out of time. And we have our first one. It was so good. It was so good. So this is a thriller. I'm not going to give much spoilers because I do think I want people to read this book and be able to enjoy it to the max. The purpose of this book is that the main character, the first chapter, someone breaks into her home and they attack her. And then it fast forwards a year afterwards, and she's at a new school. You're not really sure what happened, why she moved. And she pretty much doesn't have really any friends, and she's trying to like run away from her past. She has a lot of trauma from it. And she ends up joining this club that scares people. Like, the whole premise is that they watch scary movies and they do these fear tests where they like set up and like they find a target and they pretty much scare them, and it's supposed to be just all in good fun, like no one's supposed to get harmed or anything. Well, things start going wrong, and they don't know who's behind it. They don't know if it's the club, someone in the club. They don't know if it's an outside force. We don't really know what happened in the main character's past. We all start to find out. And I don't want to spoil any of that because I feel like it's such a good reveal that I want you to be able to read that and be like I was. And that's why I'm giving it a 5-star, because the reveal gagged me. The reveal gagged me. I simply thought I had it all figured out. Like, I had taken clues and I had guessed a few things. And when I got to the final bit where I was like getting all the information, I was like, oh my goodness. It's a good book of like, it doesn't come out of left field. Like, it makes sense, but you didn't really think about it until then, which I give it props. I give it props for that. And especially coming off of Truly Devious, this is way better written. The plot is better. The mystery is better. And I love it. I'm giving it 5 stars. And I will check out the other books by this author because I've never read this author before. This was my very first time, and I'm really happy that I read it. The Pussycat had me read it because it was so good. One of the better YA thrillers that I've read. YA mysteries, thrillers, whatever you want to categorize it as. And I just feel like it took me by surprise how good it was. And it had like kind of reminded me of Ace of Spades that I've talked about a few times, which is like another high school themed thriller, but it has a different ending and a different people being targeted and stuff. Like in Ace of Spades, it's like the rich people targeting the poor people, and in this book, it's like the outcast targeting like the popular people. And that's not really much spoilers, but it's a good concept. It's good. It's like it kept me entertained the entire time, and it was such a fast read. Like I would read and like, I was only supposed to read like 100 pages, and I would be like, oh my god, I read way past that. And I wouldn't even realize that because I was so, like, just turning every page, so locked into the story. And that's so rare because I have ADHD, and I do, like, periodically, like, check how far I'm in. So for me to be fully locked into book is a gift. It's a miracle. And I have to give it its props for that. So we are going to do a wheel spin right now, see what I'm going to be reading next. I only have 4 books left, so we'll see. I've got to tell you the guessing stuff. So I guessed that it was a thriller, and I'm technically right. I think it's a mystery thriller, both. And I guess I'd give it a 3.75. I lowballed myself. Holy shit, did I? And I guess that Pussycat gave it a 4.75. Me and Pussycat both gave this a 5-star. Me and Pussycat both really, really, really enjoyed this book. So now I can actually spin. Sorry, I forgot about that part. Let's do it. Let's spin the wheel. Let's see what we get. Ooh. I can't tell. Oh, it's yes, I'm so excited for this. I think this is pronounced Medea, but it's a pretty short one. It's less than 300 pages. I'm going to read about 50 pages of it today, and then I'll read the rest of it on reading sprints tomorrow because I'm doing TI Wagathon sprints tomorrow. So I will come back tomorrow when I finish this book because it's a nice and easy, fast read. So I'll talk to you guys then. Okay. Hi, it is July 24th, and I just finished Medea. I'm still not quite sure how to say it. I'll probably never say it right. And I loved it. It was amazing. It is based off of Greek mythology, and anytime there's a Greek mythology book, I'm going to eat it up. I gave it 5 stars, which was a bit of a surprise to me because I wasn't expecting that. I guessed that I was going to give it a 4-star, and I guessed that Pussycat gave it a 4-star, and we both actually gave it 5 stars. So we once again, the books that she gave 5 stars, I once also, again, gave a 5-star, if that makes sense. Like, twice now, she's given a book 5 stars, and I've also given it 5 stars. This was so good. This follows Medea, however it's said, as she's growing up, because she's always, like, the odd one out. Like, she has powers of, like, sorcery, witch, where she can, like, do necromancy, where she can, like, bring people back. Like, she cuts their limbs off and then, like, revives them, and she, like, can heal people, and so, and she's not really ever fits in, and it kind of follows her story of, like, growing up, being hated by her dad, and, like, a prophecy following her that her mom knows scared her mom away, and how she tries to save her and her little brother, and how she eventually ends up having to save her brother again, and herself. And it's also just kind of a book about how men treat women, and how they never see us as, like, us as in, like, women, us as anything greater than just, like, birthing children. And She really talks about how like she's so much more than that, and that wasn't what her life purpose was for, and it was really beautiful and tragic in ways, and it was really good. There's not much that I can say about it because obviously like it's Greek mythology, like it exists. Like you probably have already, some of you might already know the whole lore behind her. I luckily did not. I hadn't really heard about her. So this was a completely new experience for me. And I found her story to be very aspiring, and I felt like it really hit deep for me. I love a good feminine rage story. And yeah, I'm giving it 5 stars. I have really no critiques of it. I had a really hard time getting into it in the very beginning, but that wasn't the book's fault. That was my fault. I was slumping a little bit, but today I grinded it out and finished the whole entire book. Like I read like 60% of the book today. So we made it happen. And yeah, I don't really have any critiques. I loved it. It was so good. If you like Greek mythology, you'll probably like it. And Pizzica said that someone else has read a book about this character, and she read that one as well. She said that they actually were different. So I might read the other one that talks about Medea, because I thought her story was so interesting, and I loved it. That's all I can say. We're gonna go to the page to spin the wheel. Okay, we only have 3 books left. We're like killing it. We're simply killing it. So we're gonna spin this real fast and see what our third of the last books we get. I don't know why I said it like that. It'd be, if we got Circe, it'd be one hell of a, oh no, we're gonna get Yellowface. I'm nervous about this one. I'm very nervous. I like the author, but I am scared of the fans. So I'm afraid that if I don't like this one, the fans will hate me. But we'll see. I'm gonna start that tomorrow, and I'll probably finish it with it probably by the end of the weekend, and then we'll have these last 2 books to knock out next week, which is the last week of the month. It's slowly approaching. We only have like 6-7 days left, which is crazy that it's almost the end of July already, but I'll be back when I finish Yellowface. Okay, it is July 26th, and I just finished reading Yellowface, and I actually really liked it. I'm giving it 5 stars. I liked it all the way through, which I am a big fan of the author, but I wasn't too sure because I've only read the Poppy War by them, and the Poppy War is fantasy, and this is like not fantasy, this is contemporary, which is like a little bit of a thriller vibe. And I was like really not sure if this was gonna be my vibe at all, but I actually really loved it. I think it's also a really important book for current times right now, and I already knew the genre, so I didn't guess it, but I guess I was gonna give it a 4.5. So I actually ended up liking it more than I thought I was, and I guess that Pussycat gave it a 4. And Pussycat didn't actually even rate it, so I can't tell you if I'm right or wrong, because there's no rating. Which also, there's a couple people that I know that read the book and didn't rate it. I wonder why. You just couldn't think of anything, or was you such a bad book that you didn't want to say anything? Essentially what this book is about, it talks about, is it plagiarism and racist to take inspiration from other people's works? But the person this book's about takes it even farther, because one of her friends passes away in front of her, and she steals their manuscript and she publishes it as her own. She does go through and make edits because it wasn't a finished manuscript, it was like only like partially written, so she does like finish it and rewrites a couple of things, so it's like 75% her voice and like 25% the dead person's voice. And she never says that it's inspiration from her friend. She claims it completely as her own, and it talks about, like, is that so wrong? Like, is that a bad thing? And it talks about, like, the cancel culture around that, and it gets even worse because she does it several times, and the book pretty much ends with it being, like, the story's gonna get talked about because the narrative is always gonna exist of, like, is anything really new nowadays? Because, like, you know, we've been around for so long, like, is anyone really coming up with a new idea? And how is that different from people taking direct quotes and stuff? And I think a lot of it is, like, crediting people. And I think it's really, I know I read the aftermention, and, it was mentioned that this is meant to be, like, a horror book of the industry about how, like, lonely and terrifying it can be, because, like, the main character is getting death threats, and someone was literally pretending to be the dead person at one point to scare them. And like, it's meant to like dissect power structures and identity and the writing industry, and I think it does a really good job about that. And it also talks a lot about like racism against the Asian American community, and I think Obviously the author is in the Asian American community, and I think she does a very well job of connecting all that to a plot as well. And it's not just those, it's not just about racism, it also has its own plot underneath all that. And I just really, really enjoyed it. And I really think that I hate how crucial and mean the fans can be, but I think that this author is really, really talented. I think the only thing I have to read by her is Babel, and I'm very scared to read Babel. I've not heard very good things, but I've also heard good things. I've heard very mixed things about Babel or Babel. I don't even know how it's actually said. So I am surprised about how much I like this book, because I did give the Poppy War 5 stars, but like I said, different genre, different vibe altogether. It's interesting. It was an interesting book. And we only have 2 books left to pick from, so we're gonna go do our last spin wheel of this video, which feels crazy that the month is almost already over, but it's literally Circe or The Lost Village. Those are the only 2 books I have to pick from. So let's see which one's gonna be our second to last book. That is interesting. That's a thriller, I do believe. And I think it's the longest one that Pussycat gave me to read. So good thing I'm getting it kind of like it's not my last one. That way I won't be rushing at the end of the month to get to it. At least I know I have like 4 or 5 days to tackle through this. But it's I'm excited for this one. I don't know much about it. I don't actually know anything about this. I don't think I even know of the author. Don't know why I said that, but I think it will be good. I have high hopes for this one. So yeah, I'm gonna start that probably this evening maybe, because I do have quite some time to read still, so I might start that this evening, and I'll be back in a couple days when I finish it, and then we'll read the last book together as well. And that will be July. That will be this reading vlog. Can't believe it. But I'll see you guys then. Hi, it is July 28th, and I just finished The Lost Village, and can I just say this book gave me actual goosebumps. This book floored me. I'm giving this book 5 stars. This is probably one of the best thrillers that I've read, maybe even ever. It was so good. It was so good. It gave me goosebumps. I actually got scared reading it at nighttime and had to stop reading until this morning. It genuinely frightened me. Some of the scariest things that I can read about are things that feel like they could happen actually in real life. Like, just the gist of it, this is about a village where like 900 people disappeared in one night. No one knows what happened to them. There's not really any clues, there's not really any evidence, and all that was left was that there was one baby that was left alive. And that baby is put into foster care, and then they have a daughter. It's like, this story takes place, like, I think, like, the original disappearance is, like, in the 1950s, and this is, like, in the 2000s, I think. So I think it's been, like, 60 years, something like that. But it's following this film crew who want to make a documentary about the Lost Village because they want to find out what's happening. They want to uncover the truth, and the main person is actually the granddaughter of one of the residents of this village before it disappeared. Their family was there, and they left to start a family of their own, and their family that was still there disappeared. So their grandmother is actually like a descendant of this village, and she wasn't there obviously, so she didn't disappear, but she has no idea what happened either. But she was getting letters from her sisters up to it, and it did a really great job of like, it told the story in like 3 different ways, which was present time, past time, and then through letters. So you got like the letters from her that her grandma got from her sisters. You got those throughout the story, but you also like got like past tense stories from one of the essentially from her grandmother's mom, so her great grandmother. You get her narrative of what's happening, and it jumps back and forth in a good way. Most of the story is told in the present because some things are happening. This Lost Village is not as abandoned as they thought. There is something lingering, and things are getting taken, things are getting exploded, things are crackling and interfering with the whole thing. And I don't want to give too many spoilers because this is genuinely a book that I want everyone that watches this video to go read. Genuinely, I don't want to tell you nothing. Like, I could even say spoilers and you skip past. I don't even want to do that. I simply want you to know nothing more than what I just said. I'm obsessed, and I'm gonna be thinking about this. I'm gonna be thinking about this book for quite some time. This is gonna live in my head rent free. It was so good. I have no complaints. I can't think of one bad thing to say about this book at all. It had me hooked, line, and sinker. Like very first page to the last page, I was invested. The writing was amazing. It was actually scary. I didn't feel like it was too easy to work out. I didn't work out what actually happened, but the ending was actually kind of almost mundane instead of actually scary. And I feel like that was a nice twist to it. I don't know. It was I don't know. It I love this. Just even before I read this book, I know I was gonna enjoy it. I saw the cover, guessed a 5-star rating, and I gave it a 5-star rating. I guess that Pizza Cat was gonna give it a 4.25, and actually Pizza Cat gave it also a 5. Me and Pizza Cat have been line in line with these 5 stars. Like when she gives a book 5 stars, I'm also giving it 5 stars. So I don't know why it took so long for us to get to these 5 stars, but now I'm like living on this high. And I only have one book left, which is Circe. I'll be starting that tomorrow, and hopefully it's also a 5-star. Wouldn't it be one heck of a plot twist to end off the month with like 4 5 stars in a row? That'd be so amazing. But I did guess it was like a paranormal thriller. It's not really a paranormal thriller at all. I don't even know how to explain the kind of thriller that it is without spoiling it. Maybe the best way of saying it is it's abandoned village that has something going on there. I loved it. I genuinely love it. I'm gonna like text all my friends and tell them to read this book. I might even go buy a physical copy of this book, which I simply haven't done. I don't really buy physical copies of thriller books, especially if I've already read them. This might be the exception. This was 10 out of 10, no notes. And I'm gonna start Circe. No wheel spin needed because it's literally the last book, and I can't wait to give you guys all my thoughts, like overall, of how this challenge has been going, and I'll give my feedback on Circe in the next clip, and then we'll go over the stats and all that. But yeah, this is it for The Lost Village. I can't say too much because I loved it, and I don't want to give spoilers in any kind of way. But I will say, the only other thing I will say, and this is not a spoiler because it's in the beginning of the book before you actually start the book, but the author talks about how this book is about actually about mental illness and like the recovering, the recovered, and those who didn't even have a chance to recover. And that hit me so viscerally hard that they were talking about how like mental illness in the past times were not taken seriously. They thought that you were evil. And then seeing how that compares to the people that have the chance to actually heal and get treatment, it was devastating. And I just feel like that's an interesting way to kick off the book, because it's like the pre-book stuff, like the when you open the book and it's like, before you start this book, blah 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 blah. That set the tone for the entire book. I was thinking about that the entire time of like, who was the recovered, who was the recovering, and who never even had the chance to recover. That stayed with me the entire time that I was reading it, and I don't know, amazing. I'm flabbergasted. I don't even have the words to say it. It's definitely giving Blair Witch Project vibes, which is also one of the scariest movies that I've ever seen in my life, because it's definitely something that I could think that could be happening that would be real. Like, something happening at a campsite, anything that has to do with the woods terrifies me. As someone that lived by the woods growing up, someone that used to camp in the woods, anything that has to do with the woods, I am terrified. So the Blair Witch Project scared me as a kid, and this scared me as an adult. So that's all I'm gonna say. It's definitely giving Blair Witch Project vibes of them going there to film a documentary and then things going wrong. That's definitely the general vibe of the book. But yeah, I'll be back to tell you my thoughts about Circe. Hi everyone, we did it. We finished our last book of the month. We finished Scallywagathon. We finished the Pizza Cat reading month. We did it. I'm giving Circe 5 stars. I loved this book. And I am so surprised. You're probably surprised, because I've been saying for quite some time that I wasn't going to read Circe because I was told that if you like Song of Achilles, you wouldn't like Circe as much. I think I actually like Circe more. It wasn't tragic in the way that Song of Achilles was. It was tragic in the way of like hope and loneliness and grief and being alive past what you're wanting, and having to figure out what your purpose is and how to be happy when you're literally secluded on an island. And I loved it. I'm giving it 5 stars, which means that we did end up having like 5 stars in a row, which I promise that was not rigged. I didn't give them 5 stars just because Pizza Cat did. I'm giving these 5 stars genuinely because they are some of the best books that I've read. For this readathon, just overall, like I was really surprised by some of the books that Pizza Cat put in this list. And the whole point of this challenge is so I find new books that I enjoy. And it can be books that I thought I was gonna hate, books I never would have picked up on my own. It could be whatever they want. But I know that Pussycat said that she specifically did books that she thought I would never pick up on my own, which she is right. So many of these I never would have touched on my own. Like Yellowface and Circe, I was actually going out of my way not to read because I was like, I don't really want to read those. And then Pussycat pretty much made me, and I gave them both 5 stars. So like, I needed that push, and I think that's why this challenge is going to be so much fun. It's because it's going to put me out of my comfort zone, and it's going to take away some of that hesitation that I have. And I can't believe we got 5. Like I was estimating 3, and I'm pretty sure we got 5 stars. But Circe is a Greek mythology book about Circe. If you don't know, she is pretty much exiled to an island because she has witchcraft. She has magic in her. She doesn't have like the normal Greek god powers. Like she's able to use like flowers to make poisons and to craft spells and like turn people into different things. Like her power is transformation, and everyone's terrified of her. So she gets exiled to this island, but she's not forever alone. People do wander in periodically, and it's such a good story of like, I don't know. I'm kind of left speechless just about how I was with the last one as well. Like, my expectations were so low, and it so exceeded them that I'm just like flabbergasted. Madeline Miller, I am so sorry that I doubted you, and I'm so mad at everyone that told me that I wouldn't like this book because you were wrong. You were wrong. I think I actually like it more than Song of Achilles. Song of Achilles was very fresh into my rereading journey. Like I had just gotten back into reading for the first time in like 7 years. So I loved Song of Achilles just because it was so easy. Reading Circe as someone that's been back into reading for 3 years now, I was like, well, what if it's not as good because I'm like, I've read so much more now. No, it's so good. It's genuinely so good. And I guess that I was only going to give it a 4-star, and I guess that Pussycat gave it a 4-star, and we both gave it 5 stars, and Pussycat has actually said that it's her favorite book, one of her favorite books ever. And I can see why. It's so good. I would really recommend it. It is a little slow paced, and sometimes you're like, what else could be told? But there is a lot left to be told. You have to just hang in there. I don't know. I think that I need to stop doubting Madeline Miller and just admit that she's a really good author. But that's it. That was the last book. So I'm gonna go over my stats now, because I don't have too much more that I can say about Circe. I mean, most people probably know the story of Circe, about how you come to her island, she turns men into pigs. Like, her story is pretty well known. If you don't know it, I really recommend the book. It's done so well. And reading that after reading Medea was so much comparing in my brain, because Medea is like the niece of Circe, and we get like a little bit of mentions of Circe in Medea, but we get quite a bit of mentions of Medea in Circe. Like, I was like, brain was working 5 times speed to catch all like the references that were happening in them both. And I think I really liked that I did that. I think that I liked that I read them back to back. Well, pretty much back to back. It was so good. And I'm thoroughly pleased on how this ended up turning out. And overall, I think I only didn't like one book. Well, technically 2. I didn't like Congo, but I gave it 3 stars because of Amy the Ape. And I didn't love the last book and the Daughter of the Pirate King. But that's because the last book just felt like a different series. But overall, I really, really, really loved every book that I read for this challenge. So thank you, Pussycat, for giving me these books. You did so well. You thoroughly surprised me. You thoroughly pushed me out of my comfort zone. You thoroughly made me read books that I simply never had even heard of. So many of these books I didn't even know existed. Weren't even on my radar. Didn't even know the authors. Like, you introduced some new favorites of mine. So I am going to go over my overall monthly stats overall now, and then that will be the video. For the stats for this month, I read 15 books, I read 5,415 pages, and my average rating was a 4.25. And I'm going to go over how many books I rated what. So I gave 1 book a 2-star, I gave 1 book a 3-star, I gave 3 books a 4-star, I gave 2 books a 4.25, I gave 2 books a 4.5, and I gave 5 books 5 stars. That's so good. To get 5 stars in 1 month, back to back, is pretty insane. My favorite book of the month was actually really hard to pick, seeing as I literally just got 5 stars back to back. I decided to pick one that I thought thoroughly not just surprised me being a 5-star, but like really felt like one of the best books I've read in this genre, and I'm picking The Lost Village. This book genuinely was so good. Gave me goosebumps. Has some of the best writing I've ever read. It's giving like Blair Witch Project vibes. If I were to have you guys read one book out of this entire video, it would be The Lost Village. It's astounding. Like, Circe surprised me, but I always know that I love a Greek mythology book. Like, Circe was always in the potential of getting a 4-star at least. I'm not very good with thriller books. They're always very hit or miss for me. So the fact that it was a 5-star is very, very rare for me. So The Lost Village is truly going to be my favorite book of the month. And I mean, I did a whole clip over why, but and then stats wise, I did read an audiobook this month. So I have upped my audio a little bit. I think I read like 8 hours of an audiobook, but so I thought since this is like an almost 2-hour long video that I would go back over what I end up reading now that I'm done, and I'll give you the star rating as I go. I think that'd be fun. That way it's like a little refresher of what PC Cat had me read. So the first book that I read was The Grace Year. I'm giving it a 4.25. And then I read The Under the Influence. I gave it a 4-star. I read Bravey, which is a nonfiction by Alexei Pappas. I gave it no rating because I don't rate nonfictions. Then I read Congo, and I gave it a 3-star. And then I read the Truly Devious series. I gave the first one a 4. I gave the second one a 4.5, and I gave the last one a 4.25. And then I read the Daughter of the Pirate King series. I gave the first one a 4.5, the second one a 4, and the third one a 2. That hurt. And then I read the Mary Shelley Club, which I gave a 5-star, Medea, which I gave a 5-star, Yellowface, which I gave a 5-star, The Lost Village, which I gave a 5-star, and Circe, which I gave a 5-star. So that wraps up the 15 books that I read, and I think I did a good job of giving descriptions as I was going. So hopefully you guys have liked this video, and I have the next 2 of these picked out. So in October, Friday will be picking my books, and it's probably going to be traumatizing. Friday loves a lot of weird books, and he's either going to make me really happy to have had him done this, or I might regret it. But he'll be picking me out 15 books, just like PC Cat did. I am gonna do pretty much exactly what I did for PC Cat. I think it worked out very well. I think I'm gonna do a whole month-long vlog, and then in January, which my friend hasn't confirmed, but I think she hopefully will, my friend Paris, it's her birthday in January, so since that's the next cycle of the books after October, I thought it would be a great idea to have my friend Paris do it in honor of her birthday. And the next one would be April, but in April I will not be doing it. I will be doing a different format of it for my birthday. In April, I'm pretty much just gonna have all my friends tell me their favorite book ever, and I'm just gonna read it in that month. I'm getting way ahead of myself. I'm like literally 9 months in the future now, but that's how it's all gonna work out. This is not the last that you'll see of this challenge for sure. So if you are interested in picking up my books 1 month, let me know, because I'll add you into the 2026 cycle. Because I think I would be doing it. I'm taking April off, so it'd be 3 times. I could do it in 3 times, and I only have 1 person so far. So if you're maybe wanting one of the other spots, you wouldn't tell me what the books are anytime soon, but I could at least mark you down. So yeah, that's the video. That's the July wrap up. That's the PC Cat picks my reads for the month wrap up. I really hope that you guys enjoyed having a longer vlog of this. It's totally different. I haven't done this before. Usually I do like a weekly check-in, and I was actually checking in every time I read a book this time. So if you guys like that, I can do more of that. But I think it was fun. I think it was fun giving you guys my immediate reactions, and then you guys could like see how I was feeling, and it wasn't just after like a week where I was trying to remember everything. It is a much longer vlog than I'm used to, but I had fun with it. So yeah, those are the stats. I don't think I read any books off of my 25 and 2025 because a lot of those are new releases, and I didn't have any new releases in July. Actually, July was the only month I didn't have a new release, which was weird. I'm gonna be cranked full of new releases for the rest of the year. But if you haven't seen my video yet, I did already put up my August TBR. I am doing Dice-a-thon with Mariah, where I have dice pick my TBR. I have dice picking how much I read. I have dice picking how long my sprints are. The dice are going to control my entire reading month, pretty much. If you want to see that unfold, I will be streaming on Twitch at Mooing with May. Pretty much every Saturday, I think, will be sprints. At least the last 3 Saturdays of the month will be sprints at 10 a.m. And there might be longer ones. I don't really know. The dice are going to pick for us. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, PC Cat, again, for picking my books Friday, please don't traumatize me. Please don't make me need therapy. So Friday has a little bit he has about 2 months to pick out some books. A little less, because I needed them by the end of September, pretty much. So Friday, if you're watching this, it's your turn. Wow me, hopefully. You have until October to pick out some books. You might have already have books picked out, but yeah, I think this went well. I think this went really well. I think this exceeded my expectations, because I was so nervous. I was like, oh my god, what if I hate every book? Because I'm gonna be honest. Like, if I read a book and don't like it, I'm gonna be honest, because I don't think my friends would care. Like, I didn't like Congo, and I know that Tia and Pussycat both did like Congo. Oh, I forgot to mention. So I talked to Pussycat about the fact that she didn't rate some books, and one of them was Yellowface, and Pussycat gave it a 4-star. I didn't say it in that clip because I didn't know it, but she did give it a 4-star. So, not bad. Not bad. I give it a 5-star. I really loved it for some odd reason, but I'm going to stop yapping, and for an emoji to comment a cat for pizza cat, or slice of pizza, either one. Do a pizza cat emoji, okay, guys? We need to give pizza cat some love. I will link Pizza Cat's channel so you can go follow them on Twitch and YouTube. They're very kind, they're very fun. They do videos on here for BookTube, and they've been getting into that. They're doing great. They're a really fun person to be around. Well, like online, I haven't met them, but their real name is Kristen. I don't ever call them that. I said it one time in the first video, and I haven't said it again until now. So, however, whatever you want to call them. They're also my dad. Not really, but that's what I've been calling them. They're in my, like, I literally have been like, you're my dad in the walls, helping me through life. Because I asked Pussycat so many questions about anything and everything. I'm like, how do I do this? Please help me. And I honestly didn't know how aligned me and Pussycat's readings were gonna be, but apparently we have way more similar tastes than I could have ever imagined. Friday and I'm scared, everyone. I'm scared, but I love Friday. Friday is one of my closest friends on the web, so I'm gonna trust him with it, and hopefully I don't end up hating every book that he picks. I have faith in him. I believe in him. If I hate every book that he reads, at least he'll make good content. It's almost fall. We're gonna do a fall reset video eventually. And thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for being here. You matter. If you haven't heard that today, you matter so very much. I hope everyone had a very lovely July. You can tell me what your favorite book of July was. You can tell me if you read anything in July. You can tell me if you've read any of these books and like them. Pussycat, don't tell me that, because I already know that you like them. And I'll see you guys when I see you. Bye for now, friends.